Hello YouTube, this is Husky10. Today I'm going to be giving you a little crash course of gdevelop. I'm going to show you where you can get it, and I'm going to show you around. And I'm going to show you some stuff you can do with it. So, first thing we're going to do is download gdevelop. I already have it, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to type in gdevelop. And here it is. It's a nice free starting game engine. It's drag and drop. It's codeless unless you know JavaScript. You don't need to know how to code. You can just drag and drop stuff. You can drag and drop stuff, you can edit. So we're gonna go to download. You can try it online. There's an online version like this one. I already have it up to this one. I don't know how to do this, just so you're aware. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to have this. More or less, I don't know how to do the character select. The fade effect. I'm still trying to learn. And some of the animations I'm gonna try to learn. And we've reached the end of our rope. There's a glitch. Alright, so you can try it online for free, or you can download it. It's for Linux, it's for Mac and Windows. It comes with tutorials. So we're gonna download Windows. I already have it installed, but it's a single download. There's just a whole lot you can do. You can use JavaScript, integrate it with it, and all this stuff. See, you can use it for education. And then this. Alright, I'm just gonna go back. There's just a lot you can do with this game engine. It comes with a whole lot of stuff, but when this thing downloads, you're gonna run and install it. I already have it installed, so I'm just gonna fire it up. This is firing it up for the first time. Ignore this, this is from a previous project. This is your hub. You got a play button that plays your game. You got debugger. You got an export button. I would suggest paying for gdevelop. Yes, gdevelop is free, but when you get the free version, you're only allowed to export 2 or 3 times a day. If you pay like what, £7, like I do, you can do it for 70 times a day, which is more than enough. I don't know why it's like that if this is an open source game engine. You got your edit. See, undo, redo, delete all, select all. You got the view, show project manager, show start page, Open debugger. We're not gonna use this much. Tiger developer tools. Yeah, this kind of looks like inspect element to me. Oh, I was just trolled by gdevelop. So our gdevelop is almost done downloading. It's got like a few seconds. There it is. You go to downloads or wherever you downloaded it and install it. For me, it's probably gonna update. Like I said, I already have it downloaded, and I might have just messed up. And it will open automatically. The opening hub before you start a project looks like this. There's a button for tutorials. Like it has a bunch of getting started tutorials. There's just so many tutorials out there for this. This might become like a second version of Unity, a 2D version of Unity. You got Open Project Manager and Close Project Manager. Okay. So you can open a project, create a new project, and all that. For the sake of this video, we're going to open a new project. Create a new project. So this up here will create it. The default is documents. You can open any of these. These are just to show you how to build it. This is a nice little game to study if you're starting out. Here's your events tab. Hang on. This is your events tab. This is where you play at. This is your programming. This is where you add all this stuff. This is where pretty much you're programming. You add conditions and events. Sometimes your events don't need conditions. Sometimes your conditions don't need events. You'll learn about that if you watch the rest of my videos where I make any game I can, or any other tutorials. So I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna create a new file. So create a new project. This one automatically saves to my documents. You can choose another location. I'm just gonna select an empty game. This is where you have all your settings. You have your game settings. You got properties, which is pretty much setting up the resolution. You can name your project. I'm gonna call it game. You can call it the version. I'm gonna call it 0.01. You can name it, who made it, Husky 10. You can change the resolution. You can add it to change the fit of the screen, but I don't want that. It messes up the menu from what I've noticed. And there's just a whole lot you can configure. You can even register the project. I don't do that, but but you can if you want. I'm going to change this back to 1.0.10. Alright, so you got your global variables. You're going to learn about these in a later date, or if you've watched my platformer tutorial, I talk about it. I use this one quite a bit. The difference between a global and other variables is the global variable plays throughout the entire game. Everything else is just specific to the scene. You got icons. For instance, we can add a desktop icon or an Android icon. I'm not going to. You got resources. I am not sure what's supposed to be in here. You got, and that's about it for that. You got your scenes. We're gonna create a scene in just a minute. This is where you make your game. You got external events. I'm not sure what that does. There's a lot I haven't played around with. There's external events, there's external layouts, and then there's functions and behaviors. You can add a behavior, but I'm not going to for the sake of this video. For the main part of the video, we are going to be focusing on this one, on the scene. So hit the plus button and it will add a new scene. We're gonna rename it scene 1. Double click it and you will come to this. This is where you build your level. This is where you edit it. This is the visual editor of gdevelop. This right here is where you program. This is, you add a new event, you add a condition. For instance, at the beginning of the scene, you can type in at the beginning of the scene, add an action. We want to play a sound. Play a sound. Let's see what we got. I'm just gonna play music. No, I'm gonna play a sound. So I'm gonna play an explosion. I'll show you in a later video. Nope, we're gonna play a sound. We're gonna play music. So do we want to repeat the sound? Yes. There's no channel identifier. We don't need one. I'm gonna set it to 40 and hit OK. I don't know what to add there. So let's press play. And you got music that plays at the beginning of the scene. It will play throughout. So you just programmed your first scene. I'm gonna get rid of that though, because I don't want it. You can right click and you get all these options. You can insert a new object. I'll go over these in more detail later. You can change the scene. You can call the window whatever you want. I'm gonna call it what. You can choose a color. I'm gonna choose orange. Hit OK and see you can change the color. You got all these other options: copy, cut, paste, and all that. Okay, so for a crash course into gdevelop, we are going to be making a I don't know, something. I've already made Pong. I've already made Pac-Man. I have a tutorial series on how to make a platformer, so I'm not sure what I should build. But for the sake of this video, let's build a platformer. So insert, so hit the plus, and you get all these. Hold on, I forgot. This is your objects tab. This is your properties for whatever sprite you're using. This is your groups. You can group a bunch of stuff together and hope for the best and program it that way. This is an object editor. This, I'm not sure what this is. This is your layers. You got a base layer. You can add another layer. A lot of people call another layer GUI. There's not a whole lot to talk about there. You got this. You can zoom in and out. This is a grid. You can grid it. I don't like this because now my scene is kind of invisible. You can set up grid. You can show mask. I'm not going to. But yeah, this is your objects. This is where you add all your visuals. So hit the plus, and you get all these. This is a sprite you can use for player. You can use as a player. This is a tile you can use for the ground and walls and all that. You can add text. You can add particles. Panel sprite. A shape painter allows you to draw simple shapes on screen. A text entry. BB text, light, and video. We're not going to focus on half of these. We're only going to focus on mainly these three. So let's add a tile sprite. Right away, you can name it whatever you like. I'm going to call it ground. We can select an image, or we can create an image with Pisco, which is something I'm going to do. I'm going to color it purple. And you can set the width, default width and height and all that, and hit apply. I'm gonna add a behavior. This is also part of the programming. This is pretty much, if you set it as a platform, it will act as a solid platform. If you add a platformer character, it will act as a platformer character with default controls, which is the arrow key, shift, and space. Destroy when outside of the screen. You can't. It's pretty much, if it's outside of the screen, it will get destroyed. You can add make it a draggable object. So if I press play, it's a draggable object. But I don't want that, so you can delete it right here. Now you can add a top down, which is a top down player, where you can view it from the sky or side view. You got an anchor. It anchors that objects to the Windows bounds. I'm not sure about that. Some of these I've never used. pathfinding, you can use this to, I believe, make this or this. You can make an object follow a player. This one's for pathfinding, obstacles, you got light behavior, and a physics engine. Yeah, I've never used some of these. So the one we're interested for is platform. You can also search new behaviors. Please keep in mind some of these. Please keep in mind some of them used to be in here, but they're gone. But we're not going to add any of these. We're just going to add platformer. And platform, you can check mark any of these. Hit apply. And you have a platform for your platformer character. But we need a player, so add a new object and add a sprite. This is where you add your... That's pretty much the option to add your character. So add an animation. Add it with Pisco. I'm going to color it black. Behaviors, you're going to add the platformer behavior. I just checked march and grab ledges just because. Hit apply. Drag it onto your screen. You're going to do a lot of dragging. I'm going to rename it player. And there you have it. You have a very basic platformer. This is what you would call a prototype. You're just testing out an idea. You're working out the kinks. You can have a lot of fun with that. So I'm going to go to events and I'm going to start programming or making certain aspects of the game do stuff. So I'm going to add a new event. I do not want a condition, I want an action. So I'm going to type in camera. You can do a lot with the camera. You can make the camera follow a player. As you can tell though, it doesn't look good. It looks actually kind of terrible. So I'm not going to use that. You got the camera, center the camera on the X position and the Y position. This is what we want. This is at least what I want. You can also angle the camera, center the camera on an object within limits, enable layer effect. You can do a whole lot of stuff with this. I don't use half of these. I mainly focus on these two. So I'm gonna choose equals. Okay, in programming you got equals, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Equals is pretty much set to. So I'm gonna type in lerp camera X. I'm gonna close it and add a comma, and then I'm gonna say player dot X comma, I'm gonna say a random number. This is your speed of the camera, so I'm gonna say 0.06 and hit OK. And we have, and it's kind of smooth. It's smoother now. We can also do this on the Y. Just a little note. Horizontal like this is the X axis. This is the Y axis. Up and down is the Y axis. Just so you're aware. I'm gonna add another action. I'm gonna type in camera. I'm gonna change this. I'm going to center the camera on the Y position and do the same thing. Equals to lerp camera Y. I'm going to close it, comma, player. This time you want to type in player dot Y, comma, 0.06. Close the parentheses and hit OK. So you got a pretty smooth camera. With the ground behavior, you can do a lot of stuff. You can change it to a jump through platform or a ladder. I'm just going to leave it at platform. The jump through, I'm gonna show. We're gonna create something. I'm gonna color it that. Add the behavior of platform, and I'm going to change it to jump through and hit apply. So now your player can jump through the ground. Now this is where your properties is going to get into play. I don't want this to be in front of the player, I want this to be behind, so I'm going to hit properties, select my shape or whatever, and I'm going to change the Z order, which is the order of the layers that it appears in, and I'm going to change it to 0. Press play, and it's not behind you anymore. I'm going to do one more thing. Like I said, Y is up and down. So we're going to say the position of the player. You got all these options here, but we're gonna focus on the Y position is greater than, and we're gonna type in 1000 and hit OK. Oh, that's 100. We're gonna add a new sprite. We're gonna leave it blank, and I'm gonna drag it onto the screen. People aren't gonna see this, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. So I'm gonna add an action. I'm gonna say the player position will when it falls greater than 1,000 feet. I'm gonna say it equals to new object to dot x. You can change the name to start. I didn't for some reason, because I like making things hard on myself. Hit OK. So if you fall off, you'll come back. This is a very basic tutorial crash course. I hope you found this useful. I'm gonna possibly make a part 2. This is just a crash course. This is just explaining the use of gdevelop and how to use it. At least this is in my words. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope to see you again in the next tutorial.